Today, my guest is Dave Asprey, a leading voice in the fields of biohacking, health optimization, and human performance. Harvest has organized a retreat with Dave for some lucky few, and he shared some strategies to enhance mental clarity, focus, and emotional well-being. Hello, Dave.
Hello. It was so fun to do the Harvest series events.
How did you like it?
It was amazing. The environment was incredible. The quality of the guests, the way they got to interact with each other, the ability to to answer questions in a very intimate setting. It was a very top-notch event.
I saw on Instagram pictures and stories that you were chatting a lot with the attendees, and I wanted to know what the most common questions people went to see you with between the talks.
Between the talks, a lot of people had a question, well, what should I do first? If you want to live to 180, and I'm well known, I was all over the press because I said I'm going to live to at least 180. And I said, what should I do first?
Yeah.
And it's funny because where are you now? How's your biology? What is the lowest problem on your list? What's the highest problem on your list? So I wish that we were just meat robots, that we were all an iPhone and you could swap out one battery from one person to another. It doesn't work like that. So the idea of longevity and the idea of biohacking, the reason I created the biohacking movement is you have to be able to measure where you are. You have to be able to choose a specific goal. And then we can use things like artificial intelligence and just clinical knowledge to guide you, whether it's medical or lifestyle, I don't care. Something you can do that will most effectively get you to your goal. So then you can have more energy and you can do it again. So it's usually a custom conversation to help people understand what their goal really is. And it's funny, in the United States and Canada, right now we're opening 27 different locations of a business franchise called Upgrade Labs, where we're measuring people for longevity. We're measuring people for energy, and we're using AI to tell them, do this in our facility, then do this. And they're, instead of spending 6 hours a week exercising and not getting results, they're spending an hour or two and getting 5 or 10 times the results, including getting younger. So the time is now. The technology is real. Most people don't think it's possible. So this is just about talking about what we can already do, not even mentioning what's coming.
So the first step for biohacking is tracking where you are. And how long does it take to check yourself?
Well, it's more about tracking where you want to be and then tracking where you are. So
Okay.
let's say, like me, I used to weigh 50% more than I weigh today. I'd have to do some math to convert it to kilos. I weigh 300 pounds. So I think I've probably, if having lost 100 pounds is like 50 kilos about.
Okay. Wow. Mm-hmm.
So I've lost a huge amount of weight. And I'm 7% body fat now. But when I started out, I would have told you, I want to lose weight. Okay. That was my goal. But if I was talking with you about your goals, you probably wouldn't say that because you don't need to lose weight. So for me, it would be a scale. And maybe for you, you're saying, I notice I wake up and I'm tired all the time. I don't know if that's true or not. But if that was the case, then we would look at a sleep tracker for you. So only track what you hack is one of the rules of biohacking that I've been teaching. And so you get the goal. What's the measure of the goal? And then this is the tricky part. Do what works. And what that means is if your doctor says, maybe you should just eat only bread, which in the US, doctors actually say that. And you try it for a couple of weeks and you notice that you get fatter. The advice doesn't work, so you don't have to do it anymore. But if you don't have a tracking metric to see if it works or not, you might eat just bread for, a year later and figure out it's just a willpower issue. I didn't eat enough bread. And so this is a ring that tracks my sleep and my stress levels. And I have all kinds of equipment that does this. I don't have to use it all anymore, but for each one, I went from being old when I was young and having chronic fatigue syndrome and having massive brain fog, having arthritis, to being exceptionally lean, fit. And I work out 20 minutes a week. And I'm, part of this, part of the program here at Harvest Series was breath work. And I took my shirt off to demonstrate, which part of your abdominals have to inflate to do a certain kind of breath. I have almost no body fat. It's not supposed to be possible for someone who spent half their life very fat to be healthier than almost everyone. And that's how it is. So because I picked a goal, tracked progress, picked a goal, tracked progress. You can become smarter. You can have more energy. You can have more muscle. You can have more endurance. You can have less stress because you teach your body to do that. Those, and then becoming younger, are the primary goals that people ask for when they become biohackers, when they come to Upgrade Labs. And we're investigating opening franchises, countrywide franchises, in other countries besides the US right now. I believe everyone on Earth wants to have control of their biology, and now's the time to do that.
And I guess there's no secret recipe to meet all these needs, like to be at the same time smarter, fitter.
There is one. It's not going to solve all the problems, but number one, expose yourself to less toxins, because toxins slow down energy in the brain. They make you older. They cause a lot of problems. So most people focus on, well, I want to eat healthier. No, eat less bad stuff. So you stop the corn oil, the canola oil, the soybean oil, and you go back to butter and eggs. And the second thing you have to do is you do have to eat the most nutrient dense foods on earth. None of them are plants. That means you have to eat animal protein and animal fat.
Okay.
And if you don't do that, you are choosing to be less healthy and to have less electricity. It doesn't matter what the arguments are from your, it is not healthier. There's tons of evidence. It doesn't improve the environment, and it actually kills more animals to eat a fake burger than to eat a real one, because you can make a lot of burgers out of one cow that was treated very well by a local farmer. And there's much death goes around growing wheat. When you chop up all the wheat, you chop up all the bunnies. So I'm just going to tell you, you want to live a long time, you want to be at full power, a plant-based only diet has never worked. It doesn't work. And it's
so
not a...
that. You notice
No,
that.
it's not. I don't think that.
Yeah, yeah.
I've written extensive books about this with thousands of references. And I was a vegan. I was a raw vegan. And what it does for most people, especially over 30, you can last several more years when you're young before it makes you sick, is it reliably lowers metabolic function, gives you autoimmune diseases, clogs your kidneys with kidney stones that are caused by plants 70% of the time. And many people today, like me, when I was a raw vegan, we notice that we feel good at first. We keep doing it until you have very serious health consequences. And when world governments are trying to trick you to do that, it doesn't work. We know why it doesn't work. And so this is something that I share in the world of biohacking. You can be vegetarian. You're still eating animal-based proteins. But if you're only eating plants, you will not live a long time. And this is science.
I saw you drinking something green, and my friend Bruna told me, like, she was very surprised by one of your advice that we're drinking too much water. That's very different from what we keep hearing. So first, what are you drinking? What is it?
It is mineral water.
Mineral water.
And
okay.
Mineral water has minerals in it. Your body needs minerals if you want to live a long time and be at full power. And historically, we used to get minerals because we would eat all of the animal, because we would drink water that had higher minerals in it. And the plants that we did eat were grown in soil that was healthy. But since we've grown plants in that soil for 100+ years, that means that there's no more minerals in the soil. So we have an epidemic of this, and it makes you slower. It makes you age more quickly. So when you drink regular water, it washes out minerals that are in the body, and then you pee them out. If you drink water that has minerals, even if it's just sea salt added, then the water can absorb into your cells and you crave less water because your body could use the water. So this means you drink less water because it had minerals in it. You didn't have to remove minerals from your body. So there's a lot of weird beliefs that are not backed in medicine or even science or even how things work. But the idea that you should drink 4 liters of water a day and somehow it's going to make you a good person, there's no evidence for this. It's absurd. It's nonsense. It will deplete minerals over time.
Okay. It will cut appetite a little bit?
Well,
It will
sorry.
cut appetite a little bit, so you eat a bit
Oh,
less.
with water?
Yeah.
If you put minerals, even the sea salt or electrolytes in your water, you are less hungry because your cells make energy more effectively. Even my teenagers, they use electrolytes before a test. They use it before they play a sport because it increases muscle output, it increases brain output. You drink water that's without minerals and without electrolytes, it doesn't work. You drink
Okay.
water with those and it does work. So it's very impressive
Yeah.
to cut
So you
it.
add them. You add the electrolytes. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about coffee? Also, you're famous for creating the bulletproof coffee. Can you explain how you discovered the benefits of it? What was your method,
Sure.
and what are the benefits?
Years ago, in 2004 now, I decided I was going to learn meditation from the masters. And I went to Tibet. And it was a very, very long drive for 5 days on a dirt road to get to the holiest mountain in the world. It's called Mount Kailash. And it's worshipped as the home of the deities in Buddhism and Hinduism. And it's a very high altitude, almost 5,000 feet. It was below freezing temperatures, strong winds. And I'm feeling like I'm going to die because at high altitude, when you climb mountains, that's how you feel. A Tibetan woman gave me a bowl of yak butter tea. This is tea made by blending it with yak butter. I was so tired, I drank it. And I felt amazing about 5 minutes later. It was so noticeable. How is this possible? So I came back to Silicon Valley, where I lived at the time, and I started putting butter in tea, and it tasted bad and it didn't work. So I bought $1,000 worth of different Chinese tea, didn't work. So I bought 25 kinds of butter, and I discovered grass-fed butter did work.
Okay.
So, okay, I'm just doing science and try things until you get what you want. And then I tried coffee, and coffee makes you feel jittery and not so good much of the time. Some coffee did, some coffee didn't. So I did the research on coffee, and I invented coffee that's lab tested to be free of toxic mold, which is a common coffee contaminant. Less of a problem in Europe because in Europe, the government protects you with some standards for mold. Coffee that's illegal to sell in Europe will get sent to the US and then
Okay, I
they'll
didn't
drink
know
it
that.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, most people don't. The US doesn't like to talk about that. But even the European standards are meaningfully high, and my standards for coffee are very low. I have left Bulletproof. My new coffee company is called Danger Coffee, and we aren't shipping in from within Europe yet. But if you come to the US, give it a try, and maybe I'll get it here soon. The idea here is blend butter into your coffee instead of milk or cream, and you can add something called MCT oil that's part of the longevity work that I do. When you blend those in for about 20 seconds and you drink the coffee, you don't care about food, and your brain works in a way it has not worked in a long time. People have lost millions of kilograms globally using Bulletproof coffee and the Bulletproof diet. And it's sold almost 1 million copies. For me, it was a major part of what led me to lose the 100 pounds. So who would have thought? There was no one wanted to put butter in coffee. There's no market for mold-free coffee. It's just curiosity and science where you measure the results, and that can change the world.
You can cross the line by doing something dangerous, no?
You mean like crossing the street where a car might hit you?
No, trying something.
You mean you might choke on your food? I mean, it's dangerous. Who knows what you might do? Well, would starting a company be dangerous? Would asking for a raise be dangerous? Would asking that person out on a date be dangerous? Of course you're going to do something dangerous. You're a human, you are free, and you are curious. So yeah, it's terribly dangerous. Being alive is dangerous until you die. You might as well live a very long time, have fun, enjoy life because of danger.
Yeah, okay. So, and is there a category of people for whom the coffee with the MCT oil doesn't work, or you notice so far that it works for everybody?
There are a small number of people, maybe 5 to 10%, who have a genetic variance called APOE. And if you have an APOE genetic variant, you need to eat less saturated fat. So if you have that, you use less butter and you use more MCT oil. And you don't need almost any butter at all for that. MCT oil cannot be stored as fat in the body. It just gets burned for energy, especially in the brain. So that would be the change. And the thing about Bulletproof Coffee, you don't put the same amount of butter and MCT oil in. How hungry are you? You put a tiny drop, or you could say, I'm really like, and you put more in. So you just tune it. So it has worked for the vast majority of people. There's also people who can't drink coffee because they're allergic or they don't handle caffeine. You can do it with tea as well. But the idea of blending those two types of fat in water at various concentrations with some kind of herbal thing, it works. And it's worked all over the planet. Like there's groups of people in South America, across all of Europe. The book is published in 16 languages, including Czech and Polish and German and Italian, like, and then Japanese and Chinese and Korean. Like this is a global phenomenon. And it's not about Bulletproof Coffee. It's about this idea of biohacking.
Yeah.
And this idea that you could do this thing to your liquids and then it changes your brain. People love that. But it might be dangerous, remember.
So it mixes very well, I guess, with the intermittent fasting and the keto diet. Are you a fan of these two things? Yeah.
In 2014, I published The Bulletproof Diet. So it's almost 10 years old. It was the first modern book to incorporate cyclical keto and intermittent fasting. So I wrote a follow-up called Fast This Way. And yeah, this is why the diets work so well. In ketosis, it's very important. You do not want to be in ketosis for long periods of time. You go in and you go out. And this is especially true for women.
In your view, what are the most overlooked aspects of a person's health that can have significant impact on their overall well-being?
The most overlooked things that can have effect on your health, on your well-being, it's sunshine.
Really?
You go out in the morning when you wake up and you take off your sunglasses, you take out your contacts, you take off your other glasses, and you spend 20 minutes getting sunshine in your eyes and on your face, even on your skin. But it might make you age. 20 minutes of morning sunlight will not age your skin. Studies show that that actually increases the thickness of the collagen in your skin. But more importantly, that 20 minutes in the morning, when you're relaxing, just like connecting with what's outside, that tells the invisible timing system of your body that it's morning, so that night you'll go to sleep on time and get really good sleep. So people they think the sun is somehow bad. No, the sun is what sets the signal for your body to be productive throughout the day. And our fear of the sun means we're vitamin D deficient and our sleep is broken. The second part of that is that if you're indoors at night with bright lights on, especially newer LED lights, it breaks your sleep. Your body wants darkness at night. And we've lost that. So let's bring darkness back.
You didn't mention cream. So when you go outside in the morning, you don't put cream on your face.
God, no.
No.
Then you wouldn't get the benefits of the sun. After that, you can put cream on your face. You need a small amount because too much sun is bad for you. But that doesn't mean that no sun is good for you. It's the kind of thinking like, well, someone drowned. Too much water. So I'm going to stop drinking water because I might drown. Like there's a good amount of water every day and you should drink it, right? But you don't have to do all of the water, but you don't want to do none of the water. And we're using that kind of short-term, imprecise thinking about sunshine. Your skin needs sun. Your eyes need sun. Your brain needs sun. They just don't need very much of it. So you go out with as naked as you can be, with your eyes naked too, and you enjoy morning sun, which is filtered through the atmosphere, is not going to harm your skin. It's going to tell your skin to wake up. And you feel better, you look better, and you're more energized all day, and you sleep better at night. And then you can put the cream on.
You mentioned sleep, and I guess it's a very important part also of well-being. When you had children, you know that the basic tricks about not having like light during the night, like probably dark room, no screen before time, routine. But those are good techniques that work for babies. But what are the good tips we don't think of, the secret ones for adults?
We're still babies. We have the same cells as our babies do. We have the same system setting the timing in our bodies as our babies. So what makes you think that if it works so well for a baby, if you have darkness in their room and you do those things, that you're immune to those things because you have a big adult brain. Sorry, you're running on the same operating system.
Yeah.
And none of these are conscious behaviors. These are all unconscious, built into your meat. So what are the things you should do? Exactly what you did for the baby. One of the biggest things that drives me crazy, you wake up in the middle of the night to use the, I don't know what part of Europe we're in, the loo, the WC, whatever.
Yeah, we understand.
The toilet, right? So most people turn on lights. Or even if you have a night light, it doesn't have to be a bright one. It's going to mess up your eyes. A red, dim light, night light means you can go right back to sleep. It takes a tiny amount of LED light and the automatic parts of your eyes go, oh, that kind of light doesn't exist at night. It must be daytime. And then it wakes you up and it takes you an hour to go back to sleep and the sleep is no good. So sleep in a cave, dim red lights when you need them. And when you wake up, open the windows all the way and get that bright light in from the sun. It'll change your life. It's an easy, cheap biohack.
And even I guess checking the time on your phone would be damaging for the sleep in the middle of the night to check what time it is.
It's terrible to check your phone because your phone is bright. So what I do on my phone is, I'll show you real quick because it's kind of fun. What I do is, see, this is my normal phone. I triple click it.
Yeah.
And this little thing comes up. And I say, let me reduce white point. Now it's dimmer than it was so much. I think you can see it. Reduce white point. So it got brighter. And now it's dimmer.
Yeah.
So you can reduce the backlight. And now I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to make it red. So now I have a red phone. And then I'm going to swipe down and I'm going to dim the backlight.
Okay. Wow.
Now it's almost like you can't see my phone, but if the room is dark, now I have a phone that I can read that doesn't wake me up at night. I can still look at the time. And studies show that reading under dim red light increases the strength of your eyes, so you don't need glasses.
Cool. Okay.
My vision is the same as the best teenage vision. My eyes aren't aging because I do that.
Wow.
Cool. Huh?
Yeah, that's cool. I'm going to put it at night. Okay. Do you think having a better body and a better mind open space for more spirituality? And is it something you're interested in?
I run a neuroscience-based mystery school where we train people from around the world to enter mystical states using AI and technology. And I've spent 6 months of my life with electrodes glued to my head. So I'm very interested in the growth of consciousness in humans. And that is called 40 years of Zen because it replaces daily hour-long meditations for decades with 5 days of really hard work with neuroscientists gluing things to your head. So this is not for everyone, but when people feel called, they go. So this is how I do it. To get people to do that much work with their brain, they cannot do it if their metabolism is broken. We talked about mitochondria earlier, the parts of the cells that make energy. Well, there's 15,000 of them in each cell in your brain, and there's maybe 1,000 in the rest of your body. So your brain sucks energy. So if you fix your health, you fix your metabolism, now the brain has more energy. And when you meditate, and I have the data to show this, your meditation is deeper. The brain waves you make are bigger and stronger. And this is what you do over time as you meditate. So now you have the energy, you have the willpower, and you're not tired. And when you're full of energy, the mountain doesn't look very big. And when you're exhausted, the mountain looks too big. Yeah. So work on your physical health, work on your metabolism, work on biohacking, work on sleep, work on nutrition. And then a spiritual practice is easier, takes less time, it's more enjoyable, and you get there more quickly.
Wow, fabulous. Okay. So I'm going to ask you like some quick questions to finish. I will say I, but it's not like the real I, because after people think I've got so many different issues. But so I'm going to ask The first one. I have a big interview to make tomorrow with a famous biohacker, and I want to be smarter, brighter than usual. What should I do or take in the morning?
You should take a cup of mold-free coffee with butter and MCT oil. And just to mix things up a little bit, you should go to a pharmacy anywhere in Europe and you should buy the nicotine spray that goes under your tongue for people who are quitting smoking, and use one spray of that.
Okay.
Low dose nicotine, pharmaceutical nicotine, not smoking, 1 milligram is shown in studies to reverse Alzheimer's disease, and it's one of the most studied cognitive enhancers ever.
Wow. How many times can you do that a day?
Up to 3. That says 3 milligrams a day at our age range, maybe 5 if you're a little bit older. And don't do more than that. You can get addicted, but 3 is very safe. And all of my New York Times best-selling books were written with the help of caffeine. In fact, this is caffeine on my arm. That's a caffeine tattoo. And pharmaceutical nicotine, I have never smoked. And I use it occasionally for my brain to be stronger and because it reverses Alzheimer's disease. So do those 2 things and then call me up, interview me, and then we can talk about all the other cognitive enhancing pharmaceuticals that you can take to make your brain always work no matter what.
Wow. What is worse, smoking or vaping? And what's a secret trick to quit?
Vaping is way worse than smoking.
Really?
Absolutely. The evidence is in. Smoking is not really good for you either. So the secret trick to quit is that spray I talked about, or you can get a patch that just sticks on. What you need to know is that for nicotine, after 3 days, same as for coffee, the body's physical need for it goes away. After that, it's all in your head. It doesn't mean it doesn't matter, which is why you put a patch on or use the spray and you taper off. It's not that hard.
Okay. I have huge migraines. What should I do?
You have huge migraines, you should pay attention to the lights above you, because the LED lighting that is now required in most places is a major cause of eye strain that leads to migraines. It's amazing if you put on a hat indoors just to see if it's happening and put on some sunglasses. By the way, these are not my sunglasses. I just found them here. But if you do this,
They look good on you.
Why, thank you. If you do this just for a little while to calm the brain and see if that's what it is. If that's not what it is, put electrolytes in water, that's sea salt, and drink a bunch of it, because quite often dehydration leads to it. And if that's not it, you probably have a food allergy you don't know about. The most common ones are dairy, eggs, wheat, corn, and soy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you eliminate those for a little while, you'll probably figure out what it is.
Interesting. What should I drink during a dinner party to limit the damages on my brain and my health, but I still want to drink?
Well, before you eat, have some animal protein. That helps enormously because your liver works better with that. Sorry, plant-based protein doesn't work.
Okay. At all? No. At all, or a little bit?
Yeah, it doesn't need. It's nice to have a meal actually before you drink. It'll make the alcohol go in less quickly. You might also want to take activated charcoal. Activated charcoal is a supplement you can buy. It binds to the toxins that are in most alcohols, like wine and beer, so that you don't have to filter them out with your liver. You should also take glutathione, which is a supplement you can buy. Glutathione helps the liver process the toxins in the alcohol. So that way you have less of a hangover the next day. And before you go to bed, put some salt in your water so you have electrolytes and you'll be less dehydrated, and drink that. And when you wake up, you'll probably be fine.
Interesting. Okay. I wake up at 4 a.m. every morning having anxious thoughts, and I can't go back to sleep.
This is because you have unstable blood sugar and your body's running out of energy at 4 a.m. And you have racing thoughts because when you run out of energy, the body automatically releases cortisol and adrenaline, which are stress hormones that raise your blood sugar. That gives you racing thoughts and you can't go back to sleep. The trick is, before you go to bed, have dinner earlier. You're going to have dinner before 3 hours or more before you're going to go to bed. And if you need it, you can test this before you go to bed. Have a little bit of raw honey, a spoonful of raw honey.
Okay.
This will stabilize a certain compound in the body so that you can sleep all night long. And I've had 75,000 people complete my sleep challenge. It's at sleepwithdave.com because it's funny. And
Do you have many members?
no one's going to forget that, right? But and it's free. It's a gift for people to learn how to sleep. But what I do is I teach that trick, and there's a couple other things you could try instead. But it's a small amount of things to stabilize energy production, which means you can sleep all night. And I've had people start crying because they finally got over this problem. It happens to some people every night. It's a metabolic issue.
Okay, wow. So it's not a stress issue. Okay, it's both, but okay.
Well, your metabolic issue causes stress hormones, and then you blame the stress, but it was the fact you weren't good at turning air and food into electricity ultimately.
Okay. I'm a woman. I feel like a robot when I think about biohacking. I'd rather eat a bit of everything organic. Like this, I feel like playing safe. I don't want to overthink about performance and optimization. It stresses me. Do you get that a lot?
60% of biohackers are women. Women are much better biohackers than men because women are tuned into their intuition in their body, because women's bodies change on a regular basis every month. Most men, including the way I used to be, if it's not broken and dripping blood because we cut ourselves or broke a bone, we just don't pay attention to it. True. So for men to learn the subtle signals of the body to say whether it's working well or not, it's harder for us than it is for women. And that's why there are more women biohackers than men. And if a person, and there's lots of men who feel overwhelmed as well, ask for help. Right? So instead of having to go it alone, one of the things that both men and women work with, and this is more on the spiritual side of things, we feel like we're going to have a burden or a debt if we ask someone for help. The reality of things is that if you ask someone for help, you're giving them a gift. And we all want to help other people. It improves your longevity and your oxytocin and your dopamine just to help another person. It makes you feel good. So when you ask for help, you give someone else the opportunity to feel good by helping you. And it actually works like this. So ask a biohacker, ask someone who knows more than you. And the best thing about the biohacking community that I've been building over the last 10 years is that most people are pretty nice because their hormones work pretty well and their brains work pretty well, and they're happy to help each other because it's a community. So come in and say, "Hi, I'm brand new and I don't know what to do. What would you do?" And you'll find 20 people offer you good advice.
Yeah, it's a lot of biohackers. By the way, you always mention that you found it like biohacking. Are you annoyed when you're getting copied or imitated?
You know, I had the right to trademark the word biohacking, and I intentionally did not do that because it is not my movement. I am the father of the movement. I hold the energy for the movement. I'm the leader of the movement, but I do not own it. This is our movement for humanity. And this is why there are biohackers in Korea. This is why there are biohackers in Chile. This is why there are biohackers in every country, because it's not owned by me. So what I do get annoyed by is when people copy the material directly and then try to name it something else, right? And they're trying to dilute the movement and trying to kind of steal it. It never works. So they'll name it health this or optimization that. And there's all, we're all working on the same thing. This is a new word in the English language as of 2018. And it's okay to say we're all working on the same team. So there's people who have ego, there's people who aren't. But the most important thing is, anyone who helps at least one other person understand that you have control of your own biology, that person has my gratitude. And if they borrow some of my ideas, good. They needed borrowing. This is a global movement. The worst thing we could do is believe that we're helpless and that only your government, your daddy, or your doctor can help you with your health. None of them care about you as much as you care about you, and no one can do it but you. And this is at the very basis of biohacking. We can help each other. We can help ourselves. No one is coming to do it for you.
Dave, what put you on this path? Was it because you noticed you were overweight or something else?
I wasn't just overweight. By the time I turned 30, I was at high risk of stroke and heart attack, measured on blood tests. I was pre-diabetic. Today we would call that diabetic. I had such bad brain function. I bought insurance because I thought I would have to lose my job. I had arthritis since I was 14, and I was in constant pain from the fibromyalgia, from the arthritis. So life sucked. Oh, and I started losing my mind. I couldn't remember anything. So I was desperate. I literally had nothing to lose. And I did everything my doctor said. And I went to the gym for 700 hours. I did it 90 minutes a day, 6 days a week, weights and cardio. And I did not lose 1 pound after more than a year of doing that. And it was frustration. And it was the understanding that my doctor couldn't do it. So I was going to have to learn. And I'm blessed and grateful that I lived near a group of people in their 80s. I'm in my 20s. They're in their 80s who were working near Stanford University to reverse aging before anyone thought you could. And they taught me all the secrets of longevity to the point that they asked me to be president of their organization. And I learned from my elders when I was in my 20s because I was desperate. I had no other choice. And they showed me it was possible for an 80-year-old to have more energy than I did. And so I'm going to have what he had. And I did. And I learned. And they taught me. And it is an honor to be able to share that with people in my work, in my books, in my podcasts, in any way I can. Because if someone had told me what I know now when I was 19 years old, I would not have been this fat. I would not have been as sick. And I would not have had to spend $1 million to repair my biology and another $1 million to get younger and repair things. But that's ridiculous. I'm just lucky I had a good career in Silicon Valley in that I could briefly do that. And it's not fair that people who are listening to this who are as sick as I was can't do that. But you don't need to do that. The fact that information like this sometimes gets censored and that doctors don't know it sometimes, but some doctors do, well, we'll solve that problem. That's what people do. We support each other. The people we pay to tell us to do this, if they won't do it, we won't pay them. That's where we're going with biohacking. You do it right or you don't get paid.
You made a big business out of biohacking. What were the challenges you met or you encountered on the way?
Yeah. I started Bulletproof and now I run 40 years in. I run Upgrade Labs, a bunch of other companies, and I'm starting a venture fund to invest in companies that are going to make humans live hundreds of years. But when I started Bulletproof, one of the challenges was I wanted it to be an independent voice that wasn't controlled by big investors, big money. And I needed enough money to grow a movement and a business. So I ended up raising $90 million in venture capital, which is a challenge to do that. I grew a business that's done more than $600 million in revenue. It has become a big brand. And the challenges along the way are personalities, management, leadership, different investors wanting different things that maybe weren't best for the biohacking movement, weren't even best for what I believe the company needed to do. Ultimately, when you're an entrepreneur, you make a decision, stay small, grow it yourself, or take on investment and really go big. I saw the investment as an opportunity to make the world a better place and help millions and millions and millions of people. And I'm always grateful that all of the work and all the investment that went into Bulletproof went into growing the biohacking movement to become a global force. And it is a force for people having control over themselves, for being able to choose what they eat that works best for them, to choose the medical treatments that work best for them, and to do things that aren't even medical. Like, I need to go for a hike in the forest. It's good for me. I'm going to do that. Like, this is our rights. It's been happening for a long time. You go back to the 1920s, the advertisers wouldn't pay for an ad in the newspaper if the newspaper said the wrong thing. It's just happening at a faster speed. So what's happening in the world of AI is if you ask AI a hard question about your health, it might say, it might not be safe to answer the question. And like we said earlier, I didn't ask for safety. I asked for control over my own biology so that I could feel good. And I'm willing to take risks to feel good. And we've just got to restore that. No one's keeping you safe but you.
And how do you protect yourself from any litige?
From what?
And I don't know if it's English. How do you protect yourself from litige or lawsuit or things like this?
From a lawsuit, litigation. I got it.
Yeah, litigation.
Myself personally, or how does one protect themselves?
Your company and yourself, yeah.
Well, I speak true facts that are verifiable. I do not make medical claims. I also have very, very mean attorneys. And because I am an American and I work in the US, I sue the shit out of anyone who comes after me. And I will fight them until one of us goes bankrupt, and I have no problem doing it. I am all in on biohacking for the rest of my life. And if you try to stop me, you will fail. So that's how I do it.
Thank you, Dave Asprey, for your message and for sharing your knowledge about biohacking and your personal story. Also very moving, and your success. Thank you so much, Dave, and thanks for organizing like a beautiful retreat in Harvest in Kaplankaya.
You're welcome. It was fun, and thanks for a fun interview, including my answers at the end of a long day.
Bye, and thanks. Good job.
Bye.